stuff like that. But I was like, this is real life. And, when you go through things or whatever, you can keep it secret. But authenticity and just being genuine. Plus, I was bored too. I wanted to make me a video about the fall of MTV. I just watched some dude did a good video about the fall of MTV, and before he did that, he did one about the fall of the No Jumper podcast, which I thought was pretty interesting because I never got into that show, period. But I remember a while back, maybe about 10 years ago, I was hearing people like, "Man, you heard that No Jumper freestyle?" That's what I was hearing all the time. No Jumper freestyle, no jumper this, no jumper that, and I'm like, no jumper what? And it was almost like the Mystique run. It was like, man, that's exclusive. If you on that, you must have did something great. Like it was like, what I'm saying, the summit of music, underground music, to where you just about to walk through that door of fame or whatever, you feel me? So I thought that was cool. I'm here to talk about the MTV part. So I remember on MTV when we was kids, me and my big brother, we used to stay up to 12 o'clock in the morning. It wasn't no BET, let's first state that. It wasn't no BET. It was MTV, it was VH1. MTV was channel 21 on Comcast, and VH1 was channel 39. When BET did come out, it was channel 47. And so, nobody watched MTV, not in the hood, not if you was black. You ain't had nothing in common with MTV. It just showed a bunch of so-called pop videos, popular culture, which was basically the masses. They hadn't accepted rap yet and hip hop as the leading genre. So they had it like that or whatever. So what ended up happening? Oh yeah, so they doing that, whatever. On TV, we stay up 12 o'clock. We watch. I think one of the funniest things, the first video I ever seen on Yo MTV Rocks was Skilo. I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I thought it was a funny video. And then I remember seeing Coolio had that "Come Along and Rock," and that was on it. So I was like, okay. And so we started watching MTV. But I never was like a big fanatic of MTV because it wasn't showing like consistent rap videos. You had to wait till like 12 in the morning. So I'm like, all right, cool. So then somehow BET came out. And I remember when BET first had came out, they had a show called Teen Summit. That was my favorite show. Cause I was like, Teen Summit was allowed young teenagers and black teenagers and to talk about inner city and just how music intertwined with inner city life. It gave you the aspect without the actual music of what kids go through without actually having to rap about it. They was able to talk about it. So BET started blowing up like that. What's up, Tamara Bullock? Hi, how you doing? And so they start airing that. And so MTV started trying to compete. See, this is all about competition. Once MTV realized, damn, they got a show that's showing stuff similar, but they showing more rap videos, MTV started showing rap videos. Now, at the time, VH1 ain't showing no rap videos. VH1 was the boringest channel you ever even came across. No reality TV, no soul, R&B, or hip hop. It was all classic rock. It wasn't even showing or heavy metal. It wasn't even classic rock. It was heavy metal. And so they had this show called The Box back in the days. The Box was a video request channel, which I thought was the coolest thing ever at the time. You can literally call and request what video. It was the precursor to YouTube. It was basically like, if me and you, Braxton, what are you doing right now? I'm sitting in the hospital bed. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm healing up. Did you buy XRP? I'm healing up my hand and stuff like that. So just trying to get back right. I was gonna wait till I got home. Hey everybody, thank y'all for y'all support and all that. And so yeah, just gotta heal up. Point is though, they had the box, and with the box, you can call in and you can request whatever videos. Only problem is you might have requested to see a video and it don't show the 6 hours later because you got to go through a full loop of whenever you requested it. I don't know what an XRP is. You're going to have to explain to me in the comments what an XRP is. I'm not familiar with that. And so with that said, MTV started to be like, okay, they got competitive, so they came out with a show called The Real World, which was like the first reality TV show ever. It was the dopest show. My favorite episode or favorite season was 1996 Miami, and I had a crush on Cynthia. She was the only black girl on the show. Oh man, that was my shit. And so then MTV started making a name for themselves with that. I seen Lauryn Hill Total Request or Unplugged, MTV Unplugged. I don't know if it was it was Unplugged. And they had artists, and I still think they need that back. That's totally relevant. It separates what a writer is from what a musician is. A musician can perform a song, like Drake is a musician, but a writer is a person that tells you what led them to writing this, what was them feeling, and all of that. So um, they had that, and as I gotta start looking at this view count when I be looking at people viewing. That be distracting me. The same people that created Bitcoin created XRP. So explain to me, enlighten me, because I'm always trying to learn. I was doing this about MTV, but if somebody can learn something from what you're telling me, it's about, let's talk. Let's divert a little bit. You say it's like Bitcoin, so it's a digital currency. What gives it its value? So, for instance, money is fiat currency. Bills, dollar bills is fiat currency. They printing it without actually having a gold standard. We used to have something called the gold standard in the 60s with John Kennedy and all that. And then we backed our money by real gold. That's why we had the Federal Reserve. So that's what made us the richest country in the world. Even though Africa has always been the richest everything in the world, if they would have started the African Central Bank, that would topple the whole world, because they got the actual natural resources to validate their money. It says the new money system for the banks, that institution is going to make people millions of dollars. I get what you're saying. It's a new money system, but what validates the money? You can't just say, hey, this money is worth something without actually showing me what is behind. So, for instance, and I'm going to speak a little bit ignorant on this, but I'm speaking for what I know of. A lot of money now is backed by bonds, in the sense of it's crazy. Your projected earnings as a human being, meaning that, okay, this guy might make $600,000 in his lifetime. This is what value, and how many people do you have to make at least 600 grand to millions of dollars in your country? That's what's validating your money, the actual working people itself, not an actual resource. Digital money, stable coins will be backed by gold, or should I say pegged. Okay, if it's backed by gold, then that makes it backed by a natural resource. Sort of like, you look at this, is it called uranium? Whatever they want for Ukraine. When they made a big deal, part of getting that money back, they said to Ukraine, we need your precious resource, because they understand it's not always going to be the gold standard. Like, how many things can you do with gold versus what you could do with other natural resources? So it ain't gonna shit. I wouldn't even be surprised if money backed by oil. I could do more with oil than I could do with gold. Give me oil versus giving me gold. Give me a barrel of oil, and you take your barrel of gold and tell me how long you can survive off of that, other than what people who said you can validate it, because the Bank of International, hold on, let me back up a little bit. His new money system for the banks and institutions is going to make people millions of dollars. The value is they'll be able to move trillions of dollars in 3 to 5 seconds around the world. The banks are already on board. JP Morgan, Warren Buffett. Digital money stable coins would be backed by gold, or should I say pegged. You can validate it because the bank or international settlements, IMF, has said to put it forward. The bond market is going to be tokenized. This is what BlackRock is doing right now with Bitcoin. Damn, that's so much to process. Ugh. You can validate it because the Bank of International Settlements and I am. So you gotta first enlighten me. What is the Bank of International Settlements, and what gives them their legitimacy? Like, for instance, FDIC. If I was to say this is FDIC insured, I have a federal government, which is the richest government, backing this bank. Who is backing this IMF bank that allows them? Now, if you were to tell me the Rothschilds and stuff like that were backing this, and all these bankers from America who got the richest families in the world, then I would say, okay, it has some legitimacy. But if you're just telling me it's a new bank that's telling you, hey, we're gonna back it off of BlackRock, something that might be a valuable resource but nobody knows about, I doubt they're gonna last too long. unless that bank was had a central bank in Africa. Let me see. Look into XRP, whether you know about it or not. You're going to be using it indirectly. I like that indirectly. You might be. Maybe your job or employer would not pay you in it, but maybe they will do exchanges in it and still convert it to your regular currency of USD or whatever. I don't know, but as far as the MTV part goes, so it came out Real World '96. I thought that was dope, and I fell in love. Then they came out with Road Rules, where they be like in a caravan traveling around the country. I was kind of into shit like that coming on. I was a young kid, impressionable. So I was like, okay, that's dope. They came out with Road Rules, and I think the last savior for MTV, or the last good thing they had, was Making of the Band. That's the last time I remember being in golf. Puffy making people run and get cheesecakes. These dudes singing they behind off. I think they had Danny D. Kane. That was like the last big thing, and then they just fell off the mount. It says, let me see, look at the SRP. Well, you know what? The digital system is set up and it's going to be run on AI. The company is called Ripple, and the world has agreed to it already. The crypto coin is XRP and it's going to be huge. A lot of people said crypto was going to be huge. They've been saying that for years. They said Bitcoin was going to be huge. Let me tell you something, what I do know before I get back to this MTV part. No digital currency is going to be huge without tanking the whole world market right now. The big currencies of the world, the yen, the dollar, and all these other. I remember when they had Brexit. You know, if everything would have happened around the time Brexit happened, let's say the USD dropped and the yen dropped and all this other stuff, then that would have been a perfect time to say, hi, I am new. Oh yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe too, man. I'm glad y'all fucking with me, but subscribe. Bank of International Settlements tells the banks what to do. They are the head. Yeah, you could tell a person to do, but if you're not the one financing them, then you don't really have that. Like Ben Bernanke. Ben Bernanke is the one who used to tell everybody how much money being printed. That's the person who tells you what to do. A long time ago, Prescott Bush, which is George Bush's uncle, he was with J.P. Morgan, all of them back in the days, the original J.P. Morgan. Prescott Bush said, you be the president and let me control the money. That said it all. That's who runs the world and the country and makes decisions, not the person who is the president, the person who controlling the money. So when you tell me that Bank of International Settlements tells all the, when you tell me they telling these banks what to do, if they're not the ones printing the money, then they're not telling nobody what to do. They setting recommendations and what they suggest they should do, but they're not controlling anything. Your boss controls your paycheck. He tells you what to do. The person that controls your finance tells you what to do. Like they said, if you don't want a person to starve you, don't let them feed you. Anyway, no, you don't know about it. You haven't heard it, or it's not going to be on the news. I guess y'all talking amongst each other. So with the brick is going to use as they've already signed contract. All right, let me focus on what I was talking about. So it started off with, I'm watching this on TV thing. They talk about the fall of the No Jumper podcast, and then I was like able to put it all together. What could have kept MTV thriving? What could have kept BET thriving? You always never want to sell out your original audience, right? Sort of like right now, I started this conversation talking about MTV. If I divert into talking about finance, I'm gonna lose the original people that came to hear about me talk about MTV. So same thing with when MTV was doing their thing. I think once BET came out with Route City, that was the height of BET. The booth, when they had the booth, oh man, I couldn't wait to get out of school, catch that freestyle. That was the top thing in the '90s and early 2000s or whatever. And then you got, let me see. Oh yeah, so they didn't evolve. And then VH1 got into the reality goofiness. I appreciate, let me see, Britt's going to use that. I appreciate you reading what I've said. You better look into it. England starts their CBDC in July. They're going to put down $1. This is what the tariffs is all about. This boy talking, hold on. They're going to put down $1. Hold on, I got to process this. I'm the type of person, I don't like to just rebuttal people. I like to actually try to understand what they're saying. I appreciate you reading what I've said. You better look into it. England starts there. So I'm going to have to find out what a CBDC is in July. They're going to put down $1. So you're saying England is gonna put down a dollar. Now this is the thing, right? You're going to be using stable coins as the new dollar. One of them will be called RLUSD. They're going to tokenize the gold market. The entire derivatives market will be tokenized. You talk about this guy just came in my comments, got me feeling dumb as hell because I'm familiar with a lot of things, and I'm a little thrown off only to say this though. If what you say is true and England starts their CBDC, well, first of all, you have to first believe that England and America is not going to be lockstep, right? Big brother, little brother, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you look at the original colonizers. I mean, obviously you had colonizers like Alexander the Great way before they had America. But what do you think the tariffs are for? They already are tanking, and they had Brits not okay. Well, so I'm gonna tell you what I believe the tariffs are for. It was really what the intent was. The intent was, and it's funny. I've been watching this stuff all morning. We used to be the most industrialized country in the world. I have a house in Macon, Georgia. And when I first moved to the city, I live in Fort Lauderdale. I make my money in Florida. This is the point that I'm making. When I first moved to the city, I was thrown. I didn't know nothing about Atlanta train systems and all of this stuff. And I'm just like, why? This looked like a big town that got abandoned, right? It was like all these train stations and big plants, and it's just empty, not being put to use. It's because we got lazy and we got rich with the stock market. The stock market made Americans rich. And they said, you know what? We all bosses. Ship that little minuscule work, benign work overseas, and it got shipped so much till we lost our industries and we became the biggest consumers. So the tariffs was an act to say, you know what, we could be the biggest consumers, but let's consume our own product. And we can't consume our own product if we don't make our own product. This bed, this machine I'm hooked up to, everything is in China except for the actual location I'm at. And that became the problem. When you become any country and you too relying upon one thing about it, I got my port ID, TWIC card. I worked at the port. Importation, exportation, gross domestic product, GDP. When you talk about what you're doing as a country is a big business, and everybody working as conglomerates. When you start to say, damn, if we was to go to war right now, we would have a more organized military, we have a more sophisticated military. But when it comes down to the meat and potatoes, ammo, who we got making? I mean, we the biggest gun manufacturers in the world. That's a bad thing for me to state. That's a bad example. But let's just say hypothetically, we needed certain things and components to keep a war going. We ain't got no industrialization to make that happen. So I think, in short, the tariffs were to industrialize America again. Now, with that said, China got, I watched a whole video how Chinese products, they got these raw ass cars. And we got to first change our philosophy. This capitalistic system, it's great, but we getting stepped on. Ain't no way you finna tell me a 2025 Dodge Ram is worth 80 grand. When it got the same shit that a 2004 Dodge Ram got on it. 2004 Dodge Ram probably can have a better crash rating than the 2025. Yet you finna tell me the 2025 worth 100 grand? Hell no. So we have no regulation. And then the biggest another bad part is Obama bailing out. I'm still pissed about that. When GM got bailed out, all these government bailouts shouldn't even exist. That's what free market is about. Free market is the right to get really big, or it's the right to fall on your fucking face. A lot of these places we didn't let fall on their face when they did bad businesses, and instead of to bail out the people who needed bailouts on their mortgage, we bailed out the big banks and the big businesses, and so that's what we've been off the rails for. To now they're trying to basically say we've been at a deficit. We have been at a deficit. People like think about it. If you got a rich friend and the meal comes out to $100, and you and your friend didn't have no understanding before y'all went to the restaurant that you would pay half and half, you might feel like, okay, I'm gonna pull out 20 because he rich. You could pay $80. That ain't hurting you, bro. That's the same thing with America. We trading at a deficit because people say, man, y'all got it like that. We ain't got it like that. Just did it. And think about it. We was about to give 500 million to Ukraine and just forget about it. No, not even 500 million. It was 250 million, a billion or whatever. It was a crazy number. 50 billion. Let's just say 50 billion to Ukraine. And everybody forgot about it. Trump came in there. He said, bro, I need that 50 billion. Matter of fact, I don't need that 50 billion. I need that with interest. That's what I'm talking about. Like we was just giving the money away, and then we tell our own citizens, "Hey, we ain't, you on food stamps? Oh no, we trying to get you off food stamps. You able body." But yeah, we telling the next country we got billions and trillions for you. So that's what the tariffs is about. The tariffs is about America has been a business that's been traded just like another company on the stock market. If you really want to get deep with it, did you know states own properties in other countries? It's sort of like um, a LLC. A LLC is a person. So when you see this guy Cohen who started, see, I lost my viewers with that. This nigga talking too real with that. He can't be talking about LLCs as a person. He can't be telling people the difference between a human being and a person. How when our officer says, "Let me check your persons," they're talking about the character that you are under the system of society, not the actual human being. He can't go to talking about sovereign citizenship. When you go to talk, that's why a person can get their company sued. Your company can be found guilty and you can avoid prison time because your company is a person. You see how that works? This state that I live in is a person. This state can buy property in countries. The state of Florida can buy businesses in other countries. And none of these Floridians will know about it. And use your tax dollars to do it. But then I'm in the hospital already. I don't need them to try to put me on the psych ward for talking this real shit. So let me focus on the MTV part. It said, I understand I will leave subscribe yet. Hold on, let me get back to what he was telling me. I know you don't know what the bank of national settlement is part of your first time. All right, let me back up all the way. You're going to be using stable coins as the new dollar. I want to know be called RLUSD. They're going to tokenize the gold market. The entire derivatives market will be tokenized. What do you think the tariffs are for? They're already tanking the market, and they in BRICS is not using a dollar anymore. There is no petrodollar, remember? hmm I know you don't know what the Bank of International Settlements is. It's probably your first time hearing about it. The original J.P. Morgan only I guess he meant to say owned 20% of J.P. Morgan. The real owners was Rockefeller, totally agree, and the Rothschilds. I don't know if you consider them as Rockefeller or whatever, but yeah. I mean, disrespect, brother, but you're halfway correct. I tell you what, by August, you remember this conversation. Let's see, man. April, May, June, July. 3 months, 3 to 4 months. I understand I will leave. I'll subscribe to your channel. If you don't look into what I'm talking about, you're going to be pissed poor. I ain't going to be worth shit. Not a dollar. The word chat is spelling wrong. I meant to say dollar. You bought up Ukraine. Look up this company called Stellar Loomis. You don't have time, sir. It's the England owned in Virginia anyway, man. Damn, that's kind of deep. That boy say England owned in Virginia. Anyway, man, I wish you well. You better look into what I told you. I'm looking at all of this. You're talking about a straw man. Yep, talk about a straw man. Talking about common law too, versus what we call whatever law that we base our society off of. But with that said, make it hard to get back into the MTV topic because I wanted to talk about just the MTV. Let me just focus on that, then drift into that little part. So I think how MTV could have kept themselves relevant is stay true to who they were. They should have never got into rap music, rap culture. BET was gonna come out anyway. MTV got into Yo MTV rap, and then they jumped into rap with 50% conviction. And so that alienated their original audience, and it brought in a whole new audience who liked the rap. So when they alienated rap, not only had they lost their original audience, they lost in that new audience that they was trying to cater to. And then they was stuck in this weird position where they got the Jackass audience or what other shows on TV had. My Sweet 16 or Teenage Mom. They got caught up in all of that crazy stuff. And so then they lost their identity. The other thing that I think they messed up on was creating an MTV2. They didn't have enough content yet. They still had one channel playing music half the time and playing. They should have just shifted or created MTV2 slowly. Don't get me wrong. When they jumped into the real world and to Road Rules and all the other shows they had, that was super genius. Those shows are classic. Hell, they can emulate those shows right now. But they can even do reunions and I'll watch it. They don't even know they got a fan base who remember 1996 cast of Real World. I remember the New Orleans cast a couple years later. So they got a whole room for that. But point is, they diversified too fast and they didn't have enough material. And they should have made one channel specifically one thing and other channel specifically another, not do 50-50 on both channels. And so as far as BET falling, BET fell. I mean, they had their 106 in Park. That was their last big show. But BET fell because they wasn't true to their identity either. BET was an educated channel. It was black entertainment television, but it was hip hop from. It was hip hop. It wasn't rap. Obviously, hip hop and rap is known as the same thing. But when I think of hip hop, I think of like guys with their pants on their behind doing break dancing. You know what I'm saying? Who's really into artistic expression, painting and drawing, graffiti and rapping and poetry. I don't think about gangs and sagging and gold teeth and tats. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what rap is. That's what it became. That's what I fell in love with. I fell in love with rap. But I understand there is a difference between hip hop and rap. And BET tried to get into rap and they lost their way when hip hop was the genesis of how they started with Teen Summit and being able to present real issues. They was able to talk to the people who was really hurting because a lot of rappers' excuse is, I'm only rapping about my environment. I'm only rapping about what I experienced in life. And which is true. But then it came into glorifying it and celebrating it, and then it just became something else. And then as far as VH1 was never true to itself. VH1, like I said, was a rock and roll channel, and then they became whatever they tried to become, and that's how they fell off. Like I would say, the one thing I never got into VH1, but I always was a fan of, and I want to start my own version in Georgia, like in real life, is a charm school. I always thought that was dope as hell because I said to myself, how many women from inner city, so perfect example, they got these Atlanta housewives, and I just seen a girl, she made a video talk about that ain't the proper representation of a Atlanta housewife being a gold digger. And I will say, Georgia women, from my experience that I was meeting, wasn't into the money, which was kind of different and kind of like, I ain't gonna say bad, but it was different. It's like, damn, you can't impress the chick with money. How you gonna impress her? Especially when you from an environment where you pull out $100 if you're losing their mind. What happened when you pull out money and she's like, I'm good. What about your brain? What are you doing in life? You know what I'm saying? So it presented, you had to actually come with who you were. So I would say Atlanta Housewives is an inaccurate depiction of the women in that region. However, I think something like Charm School could be brought to the forefront because a lot of women don't got etiquette. I done been around women answer the phone to another dude in front of me. And I'm like, yo, if you was the one paying for the meal or you the one this, that, I ain't got no problem. I know how to play the cut and not say nothing. But if you not the financial person that's holding it down, you don't have room for that, you know? And I think etiquette is very important. And so I think something like Charm School would have been dope right now to this day. Whatever network pick up on something to start like a charm school, say when is the right time to do this, how should you let a person treat you, how should you respond. And a better example, I had problems with a couple of the nurses yesterday, and this lady made me feel so bad just by being quiet. I was um making my grievance as to why I feel she's had a horrible performance, and she didn't say the word but or and one time. I'm so used to a person saying, well, you're right, I did do this, but, and we all do it. We all guilty of the but. But usually is our rationalization or our self-righteousness, right? This lady was from Kenya, Africa. and she said, "I am so sorry about my performance. I did it was." I said, "Stop apologizing, baby. I'm sorry. I apologize. Maybe I could have handled things better." It got me to look at a different rationale due to the fact she wasn't running from accountability whatsoever. That's etiquette. That's what I'm talking about when I say charm school etiquette. Like I said to myself, if I had to, like, if I was in a relationship with a woman that was like that, like, baby, that's on me. It ain't no buts in her vocabulary. I'll be so quiet, like, oh, you know what? I shouldn't have took it there. You know what I'm saying? You're dealing with a person that's reasonable, that can understand you logic, and that you're not coming from a vile kind of place, but you actually coming from a place of trying to get understanding. That's what I think we got room for that. But anyway, it's been a great podcast. I got two people locked in on me, and I guess the reason I'm ending this because I hate losing people. I got to get better at this streaming. But when I be streaming, that validation, I said that in another video, validation really matters. And I get annoyed when I be scrolling through my shorts and I see somebody that just look weird and they got all these viewers watching them talk about nothing. Just because they got a bunch of tat or they're in an interesting looking place and everybody's just looking, or it's a beautiful woman, everybody's looking, but they're not gaining nothing from it. It's just fruitless, you know? So I be seeing them with 300 people watching. I'm like, yo, da, da, da. And then when I see me losing people, that's not important. The message is important. So I got to get better at that. But with that said, y'all take care. Back to me sitting up in this hospital, getting better, resting.